Well, hello, everybody. I hope that you're doing well. Go ahead and hit that like button because I just saw a device that's really cool. Sorry for the distraction.
This is
Okay, I gotta save this so I can watch it later. Just popped up on my feed and it's a nice device for like cameras and stuff like that. So,
hand.
okay. There we go. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. I got my son sitting here next to me. He stayed home because he was not feeling very well the last couple of days. And he's going to hang out here for a couple of minutes until he has to go. So, doing good, Vagen? Yes? He's trying to stay as quiet as possible. Yeah? Yes, he is. He's a sharp dude. He's strong, too. Very powerful. Very strong and powerful. Yeah? Okay. Yeah, Tony, how you doing, brother? Nick Quint's in the house. What's up, Nick? Alpha, what's going on? How many of you guys caught the conversation from a couple of days ago that I had on JP Uncut's channel with some Hebrew Israelites? Did anybody watch that? Let me try to fix something here. You're going to see a picture of Donald Trump right now. There it is. I've been listening to this podcast today. Donald Trump, I read in the comment section. This is an interesting comment in the comment section. It says Donald Trump rejected. Donald Trump turned down 60 minutes but came on flagrant. This is crazy. What a time to be alive. That tells you what YouTube is and the power behind YouTube and streaming and all of that. YouTube's come up with a couple of updates that I think is going to benefit us on this channel. There's something that they just came up with where you hit the like button and then you can, I'm forgetting it. You can essentially like promote it. Right. So it's called Hype. I'll pull up a video. It's called Hype something. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know if it's actually like fully rolled out or it's going to roll out. It's called Hype Leaderboard. And then every week there's going to be like a top 100 or something like that. Hey, Vagen, Arnold said hi to you. Hey, Garrett, you're... Bro, it's absolute nonsense stuff. So let me see. YouTube's new hype feature. So it's already out. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Okay, let's check this out.
It's crazy. YouTube is beta testing this new feature called Hype. Every user gets 3 hypes a week. If a video's been out for less than 7 days from a creator with under 500,000 subscribers, the video can be hyped. The more hype a video gets, the higher it climbs on a new leaderboard. It's like the early days of YouTube when any video could blow up overnight. Because this is only for creators with under 500,000 subscribers, this feature is going to make it easier for new people to grow. The existing beta tests were in Brazil, Taiwan, and Turkey. They're hoping to roll it out to the rest of YouTube soon. This is crazy. YouTube is beta testing this new feature called Hype. Every user gets 3.
Somebody had an actual...
YouTube released a new feature called Hype. It helps smaller YouTube channels grow by getting more people to see their videos when it appears on the leaderboard. Anyone can hype a video if the video is less than 7 days and the creator has fewer than 500,000 subscribers. When a video gets hyped, it goes on a list of top 100 hype videos for the week in a particular country. For now, you can hype 3 times each week for free. Later, you might be able to buy more hypes. YouTube has made clear that hyping videos won't influence your YouTube recommendations and search results. Follow AppScribe for more videos like this.
I actually like that. I like that. I also like that YouTube is supposed to roll out e-course thing where you can just buy courses in YouTube, embedded into YouTube, which is something I'm looking forward to because I got a number of courses already that I can just upload there and you guys can purchase. And then that would just also encourage me to create more courses for you. And so people can have obviously all the stuff we do in regards to Q&As and all that, but like things where I'm teaching. I mean, we have the free thing that how to read your Bible. And I'm coming towards the end of that, right? Like I think we have like 3 more sessions to do. When I have some time, we'll finish those. But there's obviously things that you can go like way more deep into. So yeah. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Jerome? How you doing? Von Eric, where's your faith? What's up? How you doing? You were about to go to sleep and now you can't. Hey, Jerome, can I shoot you a text? Is that okay? I wanted to ask you something. I'm here. Let me actually, I had forgotten about this. You can do whatever you feel like. That's true, I can. In return, you can explain what the Black Hebrew Israelite conversation was. Oh gosh. I don't know what it was. That's just typical behavior, sadly, when it comes to Hebrew Israelites. You know, it's very interesting. There's a version of it. There's a white version. There's a white version of it in England called the Hebrew Roots Movement. It's predominantly, I think, in England. And so you might want to like do some research on that. But it's always kind of messy when you talk to a Hebrew Israelite. So have you guys seen this? Can anybody confirm if they've seen this hype stuff? Because I haven't seen anything. Like I haven't seen anything like trending or like some kind of a hype menu. But let me know. Oh, George Jenko just put out a podcast with Cliff talking about their wedding. That's cool. Very nice. Hey, Gape, how you doing? All is well. Okay. That's my son sitting by me, so. Dave said, I saw the entire stream. I think at some point, the elevation guy said, Armenians are or were black. Yeah, he said your ancestors were black. Here's the funny thing that I personally sort of like interacting with Black Hebrew Israelites, partly because they don't know what Armenians are 9 out of 10 times, and they kind of get lost, which is ironic to the shows their kind of lack of understanding, like in regards to the Ark landing in Ararat and Armenians, like that being historic Armenian and all that stuff. So I've seen them deal with it a couple of ways. Sometimes I'll bring it up and they go, oh man, are you sure? Like I had a Hebrew Israelite one time tell me, am I sure that I'm not Hebrew? Like, am I sure about my ancestry? And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty positive there aren't any black people in my ancestry. Or you get comments like that, right? It's like, well, they must have been. It's like, it's weren't. Like, there's no genetic research to back that up. So it's hilarious to me. Jesse Lee Peterson did a funny interview with Hebrew Israelites on YouTube. Jesse Lee Peterson is a funny person. I'm not a big fan of Jesse Lee Peterson. As far as I know, Jesse Lee Peterson's theology is heretical. Let's do it. Armenian Hebrew Israelites. Armenians. The real. Arthur, what do you think they would say about me? Partially from... They'd probably say you are an Israelite. Partially from a country enslaved by the transatlantic, but also partially from Ethiopia. They'd say you probably are. Top of the league, baby. What's up? I think, Jerome, it depends, like whether it's on your father's side or your mother's side is the way they go about it. So you're Ethiopian on your mom's side. So I think they would say, yeah, you're Hebrew. Arthur, I'm dealing with a bunch of atheists at my new job. And honestly, I'm so glad I'm not a baby Christian, or else they would have made me cry or snap by now. Wow. My zeal would have kind of taken over. Well, I'm glad as well. And hopefully that, like, if they're atheists of the aggressive sort, and it seems like they are, you will develop and grow with the help of this channel, at least, Agape, to be able to give them the proper responses. What would you say is like one of their favorite? You can bring up one of their like favorite arguments if they've brought up a favorite argument to you. And I can deal with it. It depends on what gender my parents were. They're racist and sexist. Yeah, I can say it comes down from your dads. You're hilarious. I'm not saying you're offended. I was just saying, what's their best argument? And we can deal with it if they've come up with one. Jerome, I highly doubt you're actually going to get to a proper reasoning behind anything Hebrew Israelites say. Ah, interesting. Very interesting. And how are the Bible studies going on the Discord? People joining the Bible studies? Good. He's been so good. He's sitting all quietly, trying not to disturb. Oh, you seemingly get some enjoyment out of talking to them, so maybe I would learn something. So here's what I would say, Jerome. There are times I think where it's important, and predominantly because Hebrew Israelites are like really aggressive. And so I would say there are times where, not all the time, sometimes you kind of have to like head on confront them and tell them they don't know what they're talking about. And so I don't like, if I were doing that regularly, I would be drained. But I don't do that regularly. Oh, sorry. I don't do that regularly. Right. So someone like Vocab Malone does that. Vocab's channel's dedicated to apologetics, specifically on Black Hebrew Israelites. He's written a book on the subject called Barack Obama and Black Hebrew Israelites. So, yeah. This guy. You're trying to be sneaky, huh? You're trying to be sneaky. They brought up an argument saying that if humanity were to start all over again, the similar religions would have reformed because this is how the human nature works, if that makes sense. Yeah, the problem with that is that it asked them if humanity were to start over again, whether morality would do the same thing. And according to their view, it's very plausible that we could come up with vices like whatever, like rape and genocide, could have developed to be morally virtuous acts. And would they be okay with that? How would they think that would be? Like, it's just, that's just a statement, by the way. Like, there's no way that you can, the only way you would be able to say that and come to that kind of a conclusion if you assumed religion didn't have a supernatural basis to it. But they have to prove their assumption. And what they're doing is they're sneaking in their assumption into their argument. And I would just say, I don't agree with you that religion has no supernatural origins. You have to prove to me that it has supernatural, it doesn't have supernatural origins. For their, argument to kind of follow. Franco, how you doing? What's strange about the Hebrew Israelites? They think the blacks are the only color that were slaves. Well, yes, I think some of them that have more sophisticated arguments would say where they'll quote the Old Testament passage and say, well, look at this, right? Like, did this happen to those slaves? And that it's not just slavery, it's the method of slavery that they talk about as well. So yeah, but it's not even the slavery issue. It's not even like the Hebrews are black issue. Like, look at their theology. Like, they're really like weirdly obsessed with aliens. I have an interview on this with Vocab. They are, their Christology's like whack. their theology about God, I think, is whack. Like, there's a lot of stuff, lots and lots of things that they're wrong on. By the way, we are subscriber count is up to 5927, you guys. So we're about 70 away from hitting 6,000 subscribers. So if you go to my podcasts, the podcast that I have with vocab is, I have a couple, but the most recent one was episode 40. So the Apologia Center podcast, episode 40. It's called Hebrew Israelites and Kemetic Religions. Episode 40. And then I should have another one like way before that. Yeah, so I have another one called Hebrew Israelites. What do they want? And that's episode 7. Here you go. So for those who want to learn, that's episode 7. That's episode 40. Camera caught him red-handed. You were caught red-handed, Avahagen. Huh? Arthur, you don't. I didn't know that I needed to define what a black person is, by the way. That was hilarious. It's like I think it's pretty like self-evident most of the time who's black and who's not. Oh yeah, the supernatural aspect of religion is hysterical to them. Well, it's whether it's hysterical to them or not, it doesn't matter. The question is whether it's true or false. So, like, if I were to put it in a purely logical sense, I'd say you are assuming your conclusion in your argumentation, and you can't do that. What's up? No, you can't. That's not her. Oh, that's not her, but you can go, Vahagen. Your brother's here. You okay? You have a good time today? You want to say hi to folks? This is Avetis. Say hello.
Hi.
You can't hear your voice. He's a tall guy. Hey, you're almost as tall as I am.
No, I am not.
You're not tall?
No, I'm not.
But he's a really good soccer player. Huh? Yeah, he was like, how do I stay humble and say the truth? Hey, Julio, how you doing? It's Mini Arthur. Yeah, sometimes he looks quite a bit like his mom as well. So Agape, here's one recommendation I would have. If you're talking to someone who's a naturalist, who doesn't accept that there are supernatural things or immaterial things and stuff like that, it doesn't make the best sense to talk about demonic possession and the existence of demons and all that stuff. Like I would venture to have a conversation about whether we already believe there are things that are non-physical. And I think you can develop a case without even like excluding God, because you kind of build up. So I like talking to people and saying, hey, but do you think things like numbers exist? Right. And so I think there's a way you can show at least some evidence that numbers are not physical. And we believe that they exist pretty concretely. You can, I think, give evidence that consciousness is a non-physical thing. Thoughts are non-physical things. And so in doing so, I think the person in front of you is going to be a lot more accepting of the belief that not everything is physical. And then, like, instead of talking about demons and stuff like that, like, I prefer if the conversation was just about God, because the rest kind of logically falls into place. So if somebody accepts there is a God, then the belief that angels and demons exist, like, becomes a lot easier. Yeah. Julio, is it your first time on my channel? Good afternoon from Southern California. I am in Southern California as well. So, what's up, folks? Hit the like button as you're joining us. I'm going to drop a link. And if anybody wants to call in, you're more than welcome to call in with questions. Or if you just want to have a conversation, you're more than welcome to do that. Use Chrome when you're calling in. If you please don't call in and just sit on the line and not say anything. Kind of the bandwidth and all that stuff gets affected. So, hey Jimmy, how you doing? Jimmy, you know what I'm going to do, man? Every time I see you, I say to myself something and then I don't do it. Hey, the website is soon going to be under construction. That might affect that might actually affect our email. If it does, I will let you guys know. Mm. Let me know if you got that email. It's my first here on YouTube. Everybody, welcome Julio Gomez. Thanks for being here. Frank Art, a question for you. My wife is asking, what Hebrew year are we in? Do we have any idea? Yeah, that should be a pretty simple Google search. I don't know, but I can just go like, let me see. I just go there and then go, what Hebrew year is it? 5,785. Nowadays, you can just ask questions like this to ChatGPT. Just saying, you guys. Helps. That was easy. I didn't even need to know it. Arthur, what was the music you were playing one time in the background that was instrumental? I've played so much music. I don't know. Sorry. You're more than welcome to be here, man. Jimmy, just I think I'm pretty sure I emailed you, man. So just check that. Let's see. Okay, you responded. Thanks. Well, enjoy your food first and foremost. Here's a question. It's about Job. How do you feel about the phrase "the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away"? How do I feel about it has nothing to do about whether it is true. Right? Does that make sense? It really doesn't matter how I feel about it, but ultimately, regardless of what theological position one holds to, I think it is a biblical thing to believe that all things are from God. So the qualifier there would be that evil things are still allowed by God. They might not be from God. God's not the author of them. God doesn't tempt, neither is he tempted. He's not the one that does evil in our lives, but he allows that to happen. Now, that's not what Job has in mind there, but Job, I think, realizes that all things are from God. Everything we have is by God either allowing us to have it or directly giving it to us. And so Jesus speaks about this in the New Testament, and he talks about God making it rain on the just and the unjust alike. So, yeah, there's quite a bit of support towards that, obviously. And I don't necessarily have any issues with it. Hey, Jacobson, how you doing? Good job the other day with the black Jews. Hebrew Israelites, but thanks. Somebody, it was funny, somebody in the comment section, it caught my eye as we were having the conversation. I don't know whether it was you or not, but somebody wrote Ducho Vachberjan, and I was like, that's so funny. Like, after John Ducho. Like, no, like, trust me, I've had a lot more situations in life where I've had to be a Duchov actually, and that wasn't one of them. Hey Javier, how you doing? Greetings. Might not condone all that he permits. Great. Yes. Arthur, I saw you on JP Uncut when you all were discussing with the cuckoo Hebrew Israelites the other day. Yeah, well, welcome. Yeah, I think there's quite a bit of people that have come over from that interaction, which is really cool. Really cool boost on my channel, so that's nice. Tony's leg is healing, man. It's doing good. Just want to clarify, he does great things, but allowed for it to be taken away as well. Not that he actually personally takes away good from us. He might. Jimmy, I wouldn't necessarily say that God won't take away good things from us. God could. I'm not talking about Job's situation specifically, but generally speaking, in other situations, if there's a good thing in our lives and say that we start worshiping that good thing and then God takes it away from us, that is like, that's not outside of the realm of possibility. The black Jews sounds like an insult. Well, they wouldn't say they're black Jews because Jew is only for one of the tribes. So there's quite a bit of them that claim to be from the tribe of Judah. And they would say that's not a correct designator for them. And I would agree with them because they're saying we're the 12 tribes of Israel, right? The sons of Jacob. That would be a fair criticism. Poor Job. God made a bet with the devil, and this man's children died because of it. It's one of the passages that led to my deconversion. If that's kind of your analysis of the book of Job, it's an oversimplistic analysis of what the book of Job is as literature. So this is like, I'm not trying to be offensive here, Javier. This is like a 11-year-old analysis. Like 11-year-old, what I mean is like an 11-year-old's analysis of the book of Job. It's overly simplistic. The book of Job is a highly complex poetry that I would say is based on real events, that is trying to explain as to why there's suffering in the world. It's a poetic drama. It sort of would be like if say you take like Hamlet or whatever, like a really good story. I'll just use, because I always do this. It's sort of like if I were to take the Lord of the Rings story and said, "Wow, what a crappy story." Right? How dumb. What a dumb story about a little creature carrying a ring and having to drop it in some lava. It's not false, because that's a part of the story. But there's a lot more to it than that. So that's what my kind of response to that would be. Arthur, do you believe that you can be saved and fall away and worship Satan? Belong to a what and be saved? Belong to a coven and still be? I don't know what that is. Rewrite that question. My niece is taking sex education at school soon. What would be your advice on how a parent should teach their children about that subject, other than having the world others do it? Wow. So my children are not of the age yet where we've had to have these discussions. So that's maybe not in my wheelhouse. I would suggest you look up some homeschooling curriculum from trusted homeschooling organizations. That look, the best way I would put it is that you deal with it like within a science sort of conversation. Like you teach them about biology, you teach them about anatomy, you teach them about reproduction. Like that's probably a really good way of going about that conversation. I mean, she's taking sex education, and she's going to be bombarded with all sorts of crap. Like, I'm not saying it's all sorts of crap, and that's probably true. It is going to be a lot of crap. But most of that sex education is probably not what we went through about sex education back in the day. There's going to be all sorts of gender fluidity and 15 million genders and all that stuff. Obviously, I'm being hyperbolic there. I don't know if there's a way to opt out of that stuff nowadays. Maybe there is, and you might want to opt out and then take care of that yourself. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can be much help there. There's probably a lot better places you can find help than me on that issue. Thanks for addressing my comment. However, I didn't say that was an analysis of the entire book. Yeah, but even the main theme of the book, that's just not. Like, God making a bet is a extremely poor caricature of what's actually happening in regards to like answering the question as to why somebody would be righteous. What is the motivation behind the righteous? Like the way you put it is like, oh, God made this bet and then the guy lost his kids, as opposed to Job being accused of only being faithful to God and righteous because he's favored by God, goes deeply into understanding the heart behind as to why any one of us would be faithful to God. Is it because God gives us stuff? That's why we're faithful? Or is there something beyond that? And then the rest of the story kind of tells you and shows that Job's commitment and faithfulness to God is not because he received a bunch of stuff from God. That's partly why Jimmy's question is answered in that way in the book of Job. That this expression from Job, this poetic expression, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. It's his to give, it's his to take away. So yeah. That's just something awful that happened and shows us God's character. It actually doesn't. It doesn't show you God's character. That's not the point of that book is not to show you God's character and you develop a theology of what's going on with God. Or who God is or what God is. It's just, that's like the worst place you can start. But okay. I mean, if that's the reason you use to deconvert, I think it's a lousy reason. Okay, so thank you. Arthur, you could just promote the one stream presentation about wisdom literature. This thing about Job, surely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, since I got mods that know what's up, here's what you can do. You can go to youtube.com/Apologia Center. Okay. So you go to youtube.com/Apologia Center. Here's what you're going to see. You're going to see this. You're going to see, I'm live right now in this birthday stream. But here's what you do. You go to playlists. In the playlists, it says Beginner's Guide to Understanding the Bible. You hit that. In the Beginner's Guide to Understanding the Bible, you're going to see a very nice list here. 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One of these, right? One of these is on wisdom literature. So, or poetry, I believe is this one. No, actually, I think it's this one. So learn to read, understand wisdom literature, lesson 5. Go check it out. It's 28 minutes. 28 minutes for that. Okay. And with that said, let me do another shameless plug and tell you about Patreon. Hey, you guys can go to Patreon and become patrons and support this ministry and this work that we do. If it benefits you and you want to do that, you can do that as well. This is like the most supported is $10 a month. You got $5 and it goes all the way up. All the way up to $1 million. $1 million. Not just joking. It doesn't get more than that. I do have to re-edit some of these things. But yeah, go check it out. You'll get some. So obviously those are the stuff that gets posted there. But there's also things that aren't on YouTube that you get access to depending on the tier that you're supporting. You can also become a free member. So we have 67 members, and some of those are free. I still want to find the consistency. I have such a longing and a desire to find a time period when I can have a group of people come together and I can have a Bible study. I was actually doing a Bible study through the book of Ecclesiastes. One of the things you're going to find there and not on YouTube is a bunch of lessons, a bunch of Zoom hangouts studying the book of Ecclesiastes. And I want to continue that. I just need to find a period where the most amount of people will come together and we can meet over Zoom and I can teach through the book of Ecclesiastes for those people that are supporting. I think I changed that up. It used to be people who were like $5, but I was like, you know what? I'll just make it for anybody who's a member, free or paid on Patreon. So go check out patreon.com/Apologia Center. One of the mods will drop the link in there. So patreon.com/Apologia Center. And hey, support the work that we're doing, you guys, because we really, really need it. That's just the plain and simple truth of it. I understand your point. The entire book is a theodicy. Correct. And it's a highly complicated book and shouldn't be oversimplified. A coven is a satanic group of worshipers that get together, sacrifice children. Franco, that got dark really quickly. How would someone be saved and be a part of worshiping Satan? You see how that's like contradictory, right? No. If somebody walks away from the faith, they are lost. They're not saved. I don't hold to that kind of a theology. Gosh. That is such a Middle Eastern thing to say. Please work. They're working now?
This is serious.
God could have disproven the devil with it. God didn't kill the children. Again, man, it's oversimplified, bro. Just don't do it, please. You know this channel better than that. Harut Nalbandian, how you doing? I haven't been on your podcast in a long time. Well, welcome, Harut. Welcome back. Arthur, is it true that's the oldest book of the Bible? So, no. People think, some scholars think it's the oldest story in the Bible. If you preclude obviously the creation account, right? So there's a lot of scholars that think Job existed pre-flood, or just pre-Abraham, and so it's the oldest story. I'm not sure whether they would conclude in saying it's the oldest book. So I hope you understand the difference between it being the oldest story versus the oldest book. Told your 13-year-old, feel free to walk out of his sex ed class when they started speaking of multi-genders and anti-Christian ideals. I tried to talk to him with honesty and research if necessary. Yes. Arthur, in John 15:28, Jesus says that he's coming back later on. Is that about his appearance post-resurrection, or is that about the Spirit? I only just realized that it could be the latter recently. It might actually just be about his second coming. John 15:28. What? Bro, are you sure you quoted the right passage to me? John 15 has 27 verses. Arthur, join our Hebrew study. I can't, brother. I really don't. I would love to. I really would. And the guy running it is a great guy. Just I don't have the time to. With managing, with doing the apology, that's part of the reason why I haven't been able to stream and stuff like that, and is because I'm really trying to figure out what my schedule looks like, considering that this ministry is a job. This ministry is a full-time job with the work I do on here, and there's a lot of behind the stuff. If I get invited to speak at conferences or churches and stuff like that, obviously more work goes into that, development, reading, research, and all that. And then I have another full-time job, and then I'm a teaching elder at my church, which takes a lot of energy and time. So, and I have a family, so I can only I'm realizing that I have to be very selective in regards to the things that I commit myself to. So I say no to a lot of stuff that I really don't want to say no to. John 14:28. John 14:28. Thank you for that, Jerome. Okay, so this is John 14:28 says, "You heard me say to you, I am going away and I will come to you. If you loved me, you would have rejoiced because I am going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I. And now I have told you before it takes place, so that when it does take place, you may believe. I will no longer talk much with you, for the ruler of this world is coming. He has no claim on me," so on and so forth. So let's go back and see what Jesus is talking about. "These things I've spoken to you while I'm still with you, but the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things that I bring to your remembrance, all that I've said. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives. Let your hearts not be troubled, neither let them be afraid." I love this text, by the way, right here. I love that. Such an encouraging text. "You heard me say to you, I'm going away, and I will come to you if you love me." Yeah, so I think that's probably a fair analysis of it, given the context of the Holy Spirit, that Jesus is talking about him being present through the Holy Spirit. Let me see. Actually, it's the resurrection. Well, this commentator refers to his resurrection. Jesus wants his disciples to know that he's coming, suffering, and death, not an end to his ministry. It's the beginning of his ministry, final purpose, and the completion of God's. So, I'm not very sure I agree with this commentator. I'll tell you why. The reason why I don't agree with the commentator is because he says, "I'm going away and I will come to you. If you loved me, you would have rejoiced because I am going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I." And I mean, somebody could make an argument that, oh, Jesus went, like what he's talking about is like in those 3 days he's with the Father, which I would agree with. But I think that there might be more to it than that. Yeah. Sorry if I wasn't much help, Jerome. Do a Zoom class on how to study the Bible properly. Well, it's not a bad idea. What are your thoughts about Jabez? Hidden meanings, etc., are pretty much what it says. Give me a verse. Please give me a chapter and a verse, J. Rich, and then I'll... Usually, I have a hard time with hidden meanings and all that stuff. I think the Bible is not like that. And I think it's pretty clear, or you'll find explanations later on somewhere else in the Bible. But give me a chapter and verse what you're thinking about. I haven't answered. This is completely false. The whole point of the book of Job is that he is not reaping what he sowed. It's that he's sowed righteousness. That Job is not being judged. Everything his friends say is wrong. Almost everything his friends say is wrong. So like the way you're putting this, that Job sowed a bad seed and then he reaped it, is what his friends are actually saying. And it's the bad advice they're saying. Essentially is you must have done something wrong. That's why these things are happening to you. I highly recommend you go back and study the book of Job again. Because that's a really bad explanation of the book of Job. Arthur, that means you are not free grace. So what are you? A Christian that believes in the Bible? Yeah, I'm not free grace. I think the two categories that people wrestle with when it comes to like free grace and lordship, I think both are true. I think the kind of extent some free gracers take it is absolute nonsense, and it's not true of the actual text of the Bible. It might be a logical deduction of the theology they're believing, but it's not what the text says. Or else every single warning passage in the Bible is useless and doesn't make sense. The fact that it says in Hebrews 6 that they will, after tasting and so on and so forth, then they will have turned away. Like if you want to take that as the proof text, let's say, right? And their end is worse than it was in the beginning. Like, how are they saved and their end is worse? Like, I just, that kind of an idea of like someone saved but walks away from the Lord and starts worshiping Satan and is still saved, I think is nonsense. A YouTube channel. I come from an Eastern Orthodox tradition, and I've found not many people can expose the things done in these traditions as they speak in other, sometimes ancient languages. What? This doesn't make any sense to me. So, can you break it down? So here we're looking at the descendants of Judah. This is a very simple genealogy tree. So if you want a context to this, the literary context would be it's a genealogy tree. And then it says these are the sons of Judah, right? Perez, Hezron, Carmi, Hur, and then so on. And then it gets to Asher, the father of Tekoa, 2 wives, Helen, the sons of Hela, Zereth, Ishar, and Ethan. Koz fathered Anub, Zobabiah, and the clans of Ariel, the son of Harum. Jabez was more honorable than his brothers. So it sticks Jabez out. And his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bore him in pain. Jabez called upon the God of Israel, saying, oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my border, and that your hand might be with me, and that you would keep me from harm, so that it might not bring me pain. And God granted what he asked. So essentially, this is a backstory. So it's not secret knowledge or a mystery or anything like that. What this is within the genealogy is an explanation, and we'll read the commentary on this, but it's essentially an explanation as to why maybe like there is a family within the tribe of Judah, the descendants of Jabez, why they have like larger stuff is because God's blessed them because of this prayer, so on and so forth. So again, like not looking into the text in detail and studying it, that's what my educated guess would be. So here, verse 4:9. Jabez, this short anecdote about Jabez is a narrative aside, stylistically distinct from the surrounding context. Clearly, I mean, that's the case. More honorable, the Hebrew word used here, chaved, denotes weightiness, both literal as the weight of a physical object and metaphorical as honor, glory, and wealth. Most translations follow the latter sense and indicate Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, instead of saying he was more heavy than his brothers, right? Like he was heavier than his brothers. However, understanding kaved in the physical sense would indicate that Jabez was heavier than his brothers. This reading, where are we? This reading makes better sense of his mother's statement that she bore him in pain. Interesting. He was born a chunky little fellow. Jabez's name is a wordplay on the Hebrew word atzab, meaning pain. The last part of Jabez's prayer in verse 10 is a request to be free from pain. So his name is Jabez, right? Jabez, because the letter J doesn't exist in Hebrew. Jabez. So it's a wordplay on atzab, meaning pain. Interesting. Yeah, I would just like when I look at these stories, I think they're important characters that everybody knows. And then there's some more detail as to why that's the case. Again, the commentary didn't go there. I could be wrong about that, like I said. But that's what my guess would be in regards to that. I don't think there's any like secret sort of stuff. Now, it would be interesting. Let me do something here. Go ahead, guys. Tell me how you are. Mm-hmm. Just scrolling. Speaking of genealogies, how much weight do you put on the descendants lines through the Old Testament use? I used to get bored in my youth, but now I see much more. Yeah, genealogies are extremely important, right? Genealogies are very, very important. If you know the characters and what's going on, you would understand, right? And the older you get, the more you start paying attention to the importance of genealogies. So yeah. Sometimes I don't like screen. Screen Bibles. And genealogies are a form, like they don't include everyone. Like some people think genealogies include everyone, and that's just not true. Sometimes, like it's very obvious to me that I think genealogies leave people out. There's a reason for it, right? This goes the opposite way. Okay, the son of Jesse, son of Obed, the son of Boaz, the son of Salah, the son of Noah, the son of Perez. Yeah. So I thought that Jabez might be included in the genealogy of Jesus. And he isn't. So moving on, Kingdom Context says, Apologia Center, are you an active or former professor or pastor? Active or former professor or pastor. Yeah, I was a pastor. I'm not ordained, just to put that out there so some people don't accuse me, but I was in ministry as a pastor for about 10 years as a associate pastor, still in ministry. Would I qualify myself as a professor? I'm not sure. So I've taught at a college level. I've taught a number of semesters. So I've done that. I wouldn't mind saying that. But that wasn't like my regular job for like 6, 7, 8 years or something like that. So I've taught a number of semesters. Both of those things were in the past. I'm a teaching elder at my church. And yeah. I rewrote my answer to correct my grammar. Is it here? Anything that has to do with Job being punished because of what he reaped, what he sowed, is a wrong answer in regards to what the book of Job actually teaches is going on. And I'm not just saying that, Harut. This is a normal theological stance on this matter. The book of Job is speaking against the idea that you're being punished or you're reaping what you have sown. Like that, the point is against that. So, when is the next time you'll be on Pastor Scott's show? And when God asks Satan if he knows Job, I've heard that he's actually letting Satan know that he knows he's been watching him. So that's reading between the lines. You could say that. That's just not in the text. Look, I don't mind people reading between the lines and saying, here's what I think is going on. But the question that we should all ask is whether that's in the text or not. If it's not in the text, then let's say it's not in the text, but I think that's what's going on. Here's my reasoning behind it. I think that's a fair analysis. When's the next time I'm going to be on Pastor Scott's show? I don't know. I haven't been invited to go back on Pastor Scott's show. I would love to go on Pastor Scott's show and do some apologetic stuff. We've spoken about that. Maybe I should give him a ring and say, hey, let's get on there and talk about some apology, like the 4 most important apologetics questions. Okay. Thanks for that. I'll reach out to him. Every once in a while, I know he's watching this channel. So. Agape says, I think once you truly love the Lord, nothing can snatch you out of his hands. Okay. I really don't think anything snatches you. Like, I think that kind of language is very interesting. I really don't think anybody can snatch you out of God's hands. But I do think people walk away. But if you don't want to believe that people walk away at all, that's fine. I don't have an issue. I'm trying to convince people to agree with me theologically on those issues. Arthur, thoughts on John 10:30 and onwards? Onwards or the rest of the book? John 10:30. You might not think this to make sense, but I've heard people use this area to say Jesus isn't God. I think that's a dumb argument. Verse 33 in particular was honestly often confusing to me. So John 10:30, and so I and the Father are one. The Jews picked up stones again to stone him. Jesus answered them, I have shown you many good works from the Father. For which which of them are you going to stone me? The Jews answered him, it is not for a good work that you are doing that we're going to stone you, but for blasphemy, because you, being a man, make yourself God. Right. So they hear him saying that I'm equal to God. Right. Jesus answered them, is it not written in your law? I said, you are gods. If you call them gods to whom the word of God came, that's Moses, and scripture cannot be broken, do you say of him whom the Father consecrated and sent into this world? Notice this. Do you say of him whom the Father consecrated, set aside, and sent into the world? Meaning that Jesus has a pre-existence, at the very least, based on verse 36. You are blaspheming because I said I am the Son of God. So Jesus has a comeback here in regards to this word God, and that is used in that text. But I think he takes it a step further and says, I have a pre-existence. Do you say to him? So, if he called them gods, so if God called people gods, right? That these people that got the word of God, and Moses specifically, and scripture cannot be broken because they're going to kill him for what? Making himself God, right? And he says, but God called people gods. And if he called people gods, how can you, if God people, if it's based on like whether we can call someone a god or not, how can you say of him who God has set aside, pre-existence, and sent into this world, you are blaspheming? Because then God would be blaspheming, right? Is essentially what he's saying. So I think Jesus is making a textual kind of argument against them. It's not one on his like actual deity, but that's what they're going off after, because I said I am the Son of God. If I am not doing the works of my Father, then do not believe me. But if I do them, even though you do not believe me, believe the works, that you may know and understand that the Father is in me and I am in the Father. And again, they sought to arrest him and that he escaped. This is one of those texts that like there's quite a bit of conversation over. Okay, I should say. Yeah, so this doesn't really. So they put the stones. Yeah, you are God's, a quotation of Psalm 82:6, which refers either to the divine council or to human judges as God's representative administration. I'll stop there. There might be a better explanation of that. Oh, this shouldn't be there.
This is a sickness of the highest.
Sorry, I know you put that comment a while ago, but I like it. I like it. Hello, kings, and whatever else Jerome calls non-kings. Slaves. Peasants. Queens is, yeah, you could say queens. Hey, queen. That sounds... you got to be gender inclusive, Jerome. Last time I spoke with Pastor Scott, I think he told me it would be pretty soon, a couple of weeks or so, but maybe I misheard. Yeah, I'm down. Reach out to him, see what he's thinking. Jerome's like comes in there and goes, "Hello, kings, and some of you who are peasants." Hey, good to see you too, Sabarade. I like your new logo. Hey, look who it is. Dude, I gotta be careful on my time because I'm late to stuff. Hey, Kachik Demiarchian. Demiarchian. A peasant is good, right? Like, and can you imagine just Jerome saying that in his like British accent, right? I don't want to mimic it, but hello, kings and peasants. Not that Jerome would ever speak like that to people. Ever. During this stream, I have lost a follower, a subscriber. Interesting. Somebody subscribed and they were like, "Nah, we don't like this guy. We thought we did, but we really don't." I was going to say something. I forgot, as always. Do you want me to start saying peasants? It might carry some bad optics. Glad that I've been specifically addressed as king on multiple occasions so that I know I don't have to have the metaphysical essence of a peasant. Americans when they find another accent. Hey, Jerome, you know what's crazy? There is no such thing as an American accent. Like, some people in America have very heavy accents. Some people in America actually sound quite British. America's a large place, my good friend. I mean, it's, you know, we know England well enough to know that there are multiple accents in England. All right, lad. Somebody wrote in my comment section that they came over to my channel because I was wearing my Liverpool kit on JP's thing. And Jerome, I saw your comment about my my top as well. Everybody has an accent. All right. Hey, was that pretty good, Jerome? I don't know. Was that a good Scouse accent? Oh, man. I don't have a button, man. I don't.
I didn't want to hurt him, but he made me.
Hey, Saka's injured. Ooh, y'all need to drop him on your fantasy teams. Ooh, Arsenal's done. That's it. Arsenal's done. They're going to drop to like 8th. Living in a Seventh-day Adventist community, they hold on to their dietary laws, but Jesus has done away with the old law of what used to be consumed. I use Acts 10, but I'm still being rebuked. Any words? Acts 10 would not be the passage that I use. The passage I would use is out of Mark, where in parenthetical remarks, Mark puts, Jesus, by saying so, made all foods clean. That's the conversation about what like enters your body and what leaves your body. That very clearly teaches that that he's made all food clean. The Acts 10 passage, I think, has to do with an acceptance of the Gentiles. The people are still going to rebuke you for that stuff. I would just say ignore them. Like, it's sad, but you sort of have to. I highly doubt you can convince them if they're very set in their ways. Yeah, it's pretty much autumn here now. Summer is basically over. It's not for us. It is today's weather in Southern California. The high was, I think, 83, 84. Like, here's what we're looking at next week or so. Today was 86. Friday's 86. Saturday's 84. Sunday's 80. Monday, 77, 75, 72, 74, 77. And then next Saturday's 84. It was like in the 90s. Just like, seriously tired of the heat. That's funny. 94 where you're at. Okay, you guys. Hey, it's been a good stream. I'm gonna be back on tomorrow. Trying to do like earlier streams. So hopefully I can do a 9-10 a.m. stream on my time at least. Appreciate it. This has been cool. Again, just want to remind you guys, go check out. Hey, Jerome, can we drop the Patreon link in there again? So patreon.com/Apologia Center. Hit the link. Go there. If you want to support the ministry in other ways, shoot me an email, info@apologiacenter.com, or just look at the description box. There's Zelle and Venmo and I think Cash App. There's a bunch of ways that you can. And we'd really appreciate that. And Arthur, I beg you to stop saying false equivocation. That's a redundant phrase. You're right. Before I agree to you, you're right. It is a redundant phrase. Begging accepted. But I just found the article. It says, stop misusing the word equivocate. I stand corrected. Thank you, Jerome. All equivocations are false. This is true. This is true. You're right. Now I'm going to run away. As the Hebrew Israelites were saying, he's going to run away. Now I'm going to run away because Jerome corrected me and I got to run away. You can't post a link in there for some reason. No, I'm pretty sure you can. Okay. What was I going to say? I don't know, man. It's cool having you guys around. Let's hit 6,000 subscribers. Share this stuff out. If that YouTube button comes up where you have to hit like and then it gives you like a hype option, hype the videos. That'd be really cool. Okay. So let me run away because I'm so scared of you guys. Take care. God bless you guys. See you later.